Welcome back to Alerted Ninjas Inconvenience Moms Everywhere, Episode 19. This is Grinchler.
This is Whooper.
Yeah. So...
What are we here today to do?
Talk some
Grinchler?
anime.
That's right. Winter anime, to be precise. Winter 2018. We're talking about episode 7 of all these shows. And we're also adding Mob Psycho to the list as a replacement for Space Dandy. So we'll just be kicking it off with the first 2 episodes. But since we're on episode 7 of most of these, we have entered the second half.
Yeah.
I guess.
Except for...
Violet Evergarden. That got a 14 episode order. A little strange, but it is airing online.
I thought Darling in the Franxx was longer as well.
Oh, that's true. Yes, that's a 2-core show. For a lot of these, like 12 episodes is a pretty standard order for anime now. So we're in the second half for, a good chunk of them. So now you know.
Cool. It's always good to be informed on things that cosmically have no significance.
Like this podcast.
Exactly. So with that being said, why don't we start out with the Garden of Evers and Violets?
All right. This is episode 7 of Violet Evergarden. In this week's episode, Violet
helps an alcoholic playwright come to terms with his dead daughter's final wish.
Yeah. That's okay. I guess we can move on to the next show. You summarized the whole episode.
Yup.
I mean, do you want to?
What, to move on to another show?
Yeah.
Is there anything you wanted to talk about with this?
Probably. Let me take a glance over at my computer screen where I have extensive notes that I took while watching this fine episode of anime.
I have misspelled notes.
That's Japanimation.
Not to be confused with what?
Okay, so yeah, it's true. She's off in the country helping this guy write a play. I don't understand why he needs somebody to help him out.
Maybe he can't write.
What physically, or he doesn't know how, or
Maybe he's just a great storyteller. Oral traditions spreading back thousands of years. Stories were told orally because there was no written language, and a lot of people didn't know how to write. But they were still great stories.
Yeah. So, okay. I guess. I mean, or maybe we were talking last week in the astrology episode where they had the 80 dolls come into the conservatory and help transcribe the old documents.
Yeah.
We were talking about the fact that they're all wearing different costumes, and they're all like very attractive, and there's all a theme.
Dolled up.
There's a theme to each of them. So maybe he can write. I mean, my theory is that he can write, and he's just hiring someone. First of all, not to be alone, because his wife is dead, his daughter's dead.
Yeah, I was going to say for companionship.
Yeah, and also the company specifically of a woman.
Yeah.
So I kind of doubt that he can't write, but in any case, Violet is summoned.
Well, maybe he can write. But if someone's really good with a typewriter, maybe you don't own one, maybe you don't know how to use one.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe he just wants like a really good typist.
It'd be a lot faster to transcribe than writing it out yourself. Because, I type faster than I write.
Yeah.
I think most people do.
Yeah.
So otherwise,
I think I do.
Otherwise, it could take him a lot longer to write it. I don't know. Maybe he just has really shitty handwriting.
Maybe. In any case, she is summoned to help him out with the play.
Right.
Before she even leaves, though, we see like Claudia, the boss of the auto memory doll service, the guy with the red hair. He has like a stack of requests for Violet.
Yeah,
because of her involvement with the prince and the princess. Which I thought was pretty interesting. And the person who's speaking with him in that scene is Catalia, who is like the number 1 doll. So maybe her position as number 1 is like threatened by Violet. That'd be interesting.
Maybe.
If there were some sort of, competition between them or feud, rivalry. We don't really know much about her.
No, we really don't.
She's a flirt, and she has something going on with the blonde post boy.
The delivery boy.
Yeah, and she's stacked.
Yeah.
and she wears like a gypsy outfit, kind of. I might be wrong about that.
I see what you're saying. It does have that vibe to it.
Yeah. Anyways, she does. I honestly appreciated one thing that this episode did, and I not just one scene, because the thing that it did was repeated over and over throughout the course of the episode. I thought it really humanized Violet, because Violet is like, she really gets involved in the play, that she's like invested in how it's going to end. And as the guy is dictating the play to her, she's like, oh, how is the main character? How is Olive going to get out of this situation?
What's going to happen next?
Yeah. So she cares about a story that someone is telling her. She's moved to tears when the playwright tells the story of how his daughter died. And on the return trip, on the trip back, when she's like in her bunk on the ship, I guess, she flashes back to when Claudia said, like, you're burning. So she realized what he meant by that, because she felt guilt about the atrocities, I guess, that she committed during the war. You know, all the people she killed.
Right, and how they'll never have their, what was the phrase specifically?
It was like they'd never get to, I don't know, experience things.
Or they'd never get their happy ending or something like that.
Yeah. The idea was they wouldn't be able to feel the kind of joy that the playwright felt upon completion of the
Right, they wouldn't have closure.
I guess, yeah. Or they wouldn't even be able to feel what she was feeling, like, you know, happiness at helping the guy come to terms with his daughter's death and complete his play. She was upset at the fact that she had kind of like snuffed out their lives and eliminated future possibilities for them by killing them.
Right.
And so I appreciated that. Like, she felt guilt about the fact that she had been a weapon in the war. She regretted that. So she's moved away from seeing everything as a mission at this point. And she's she's more recognizably human.
Our robot has learned to love.
Yep, I guess so.
And she also learns of the Major's unknown fate.
Well, his death.
Well, he's listed as missing in action, but presumed dead.
Right. Yeah. And they don't see the body. Like, there was an explosion in a church, and it flashes back to her outside, unconscious.
Right.
And his dog tag was found, but his body wasn't found. So when she gets the news from Mrs. Evergarden, the head of the Evergarden estate, the elderly woman.
Right.
She goes and confronts Claudia, and he says, I didn't have the heart to tell you. He's presumed dead. You have to accept the truth.
And she runs away and says, no, I don't.
Pretty much, yeah. But that's the thing. We don't actually know the truth. He might still be alive.
Maybe she'll get her happy ending as well.
Maybe. I thought he died. I thought it was implied that he died, because they say goodbye. Or not goodbye. What are you laughing at?
Something I just thought of.
What, is it related to Violet Evergarden?
Kind of.
Okay, what is it?
If the Major is alive, she's going to give the worst hand jobs.
Okay. I mean, well, think about
Metal
it.
hands.
She lost her arms, right? Not just her hands.
Yeah, she doesn't have arms
Yeah.
and stuff.
So, but if she's got the spindly metallic arms that she has now, you got to figure there's probably different accessories. Like, it's customizable. So she might be able to get an attachment that gives the best hand jobs.
That's true. I hadn't thought of that.
The possibilities are limitless. Yeah. Anyway.
I don't know why I thought of that.
Yeah, she's distraught at news of the Major's death, or his assumed death. And I completely forget what I was driving towards earlier. Now that you said that.
Yeah, she was running away. I remember she bit her little emerald thing.
She
was weird.
She does that. That is weird. I have a theory that the reason she bites the amulet or whatever its technical term is, the reason she bites it is because there's more of a tactile response that way, because her hands are
that's true. She wouldn't have any nerves.
Yeah. So she wants to feel, the amulet. She wants to feel the gem. and she can't with her fingers, I suppose. But that makes me think, how is she able to type if she doesn't get any like sensory feedback from the, how is she able to depress the individual keys the proper amount?
Anime logic. We're gonna have to anime
lack
logic
thereof.
this one.
Yeah. But that's my theory about why she bites it.
That's a good thought. I hadn't considered that. One of the things I thought of was it's the same way that you'll see people when they're testing to see if a precious metal or something is real. As a lot of the time
You try to scratch it.
Yeah, you try to scratch it. Some people bite it like a hunk of gold or something like that. They bite it because gold is malleable and soft, and things that are passed off as gold almost never are.
Yeah. But that's when people are checking for authenticity.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's a similar thing. She's trying to confirm her connection to the Major by testing to see whether the thing is still like there, whether it's real.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, that it was real.
Yeah. In any case, the reason she's biting it is, it's to reinforce her connection to the Major, because she's always thinking about him. And I remember what I was going to say now. We see in like an early flashback in one of the early episodes that, he's telling her, I love you. Like, get out of here. Go, leave me behind. I love you.
That's like, I want you to be free.
Yeah. And that's the last we see of him. Isn't it implied that he's dead after that? Like, doesn't he?
Absolutely.
But doesn't he kind of slump over?
I mean, he's like, there's blood running down the staircase. Like, he's obviously about to die.
And she has at that point, does she have no arms?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Maybe the show will, quote unquote, revive him or say that he was never dead, and it will give Violet her happy ending. But personally, I hope that he is dead and that she has to
come to terms with it.
Yeah. Like, learn to move on and meet new people. Like, she's in the perfect job for it. I'm not saying meet new people like, oh, we gotta meet new people now that we're broken up. We gotta find a new partner. I mean, meet new people and like form new connections and learn to be a person without the Major dominating your entire world.
Learn to be yourself.
Yeah. And learn who you really are, what it means to be yourself, like what kind of self there is inside you.
Believe in the me that believes in you.
The cornball sentiment is coming out, probably because this show is so...
Soy loco por los cornballers.
As for the episode, we're talking about a lot of less important, like some kind of trivial stuff, some stuff that's kind of on the fringes of the episode. But as for the plot, with the alcoholic playwright with the dead daughter, did you notice that in the flashback she was wearing a cap as though she had undergone chemotherapy for cancer?
Yeah,
there's no chemotherapy in this show. It's set in like. What would you say? Early 1900s or something like that?
Its architecture looks like early 1900s, but the fact that she has fully functioning mechanical limbs suggests that their technology is a little more advanced than ours was.
Well,
then.
Yeah, but only in that specific area. Think about Full Metal Alchemist, automail, alchemy, but still recognizably,
earlier than the 1900s. That was.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
Although it also could have been because it had like steam powered cars and stuff.
Yeah, there was a steampunk element to it.
And it's possible that their
Full Metal Alchemist cars were steam powered.
Yes, that's what that giant tank on the back was, and why they always sounded whooshy because it was steam.
Giant tank on the back of what?
Every car.
Oh, okay. I didn't pay that close attention. Like you were always paying attention to mechanical stuff like that. Yeah. That's why it's fortunate that so many anime have like mechanical designers. They have a guy who's or girl who's just there for that. And I don't pay attention to that stuff, but people like you probably are.
Yep.
And amongst otaku, there's probably like a big fixation on that kind of thing. Anyway, we've gotten off topic from talking about Violet Evergarden again. I don't know how much there is to say about the plot, like the plot of this episode. It's just self-contained, and it was nice.
It's sad.
She gets that scene where she appears to, like run across the water, across the leaves, like the story that he had told to his daughter.
Right.
And it was nice.
I like that she wasn't able to do it entirely.
Yeah. I thought that she was just going to jump across the whole thing. Like she's some kind of super soldier. I thought she was just going to clear it in one jump. And then she
managed to take 3 steps on water.
Yeah, well, I mean, that she didn't actually. That was just,
That's what she said.
yeah. It was just momentum that made her feel as though she had taken those steps.
That's true.
Yeah, but it was nice. She helped that guy out. And he felt a lot better afterwards.
And she got a parasol out of it.
Yes, she did.
And a sneak preview at a new play coming to theaters near you.
Right. I guess. I mean, it was nice. It was a nice episode. It was a good episode, but it also wasn't that memorable for me.
I imagine
that might
the
be
episode would
go
be really memorable, or you'd be able to connect with it if you had a similar situation, like if you'd lost a loved one to a battle for any sort of illness.
Yeah, I mean that's true for all TV shows and all books and all media. If you've experienced what the characters are experiencing, if you've gone through what's on the page or on the screen,
right,
you're more likely to.
Yeah, that's true.
Identify. I just, it was a competent, nice looking episode. I don't have anything else to say about it, honestly.
Okay. I don't think there's anything else I can add that would be considered of value. So,
well, I mean, this podcast isn't particularly valuable either. So just, say whatever. I'm ready to call it though.
All right, then let's move on to everybody's favorite frozen stop motion, Kokkoku.
Hello? Oh, all right. Episode 7 of Kokkoku. There was a lot of talking.
Yup.
A lot of plotting, scheming, planning, and
some deep-hearted betrayal.
And also people miraculously finding. Okay, so we know
dude
that
just reaches up into a tree and pulls out the stone.
So we know there are 7 members of the GLS left.
6.
Why do you say 6?
6 spell one in the episode. If one of the blue shirt guys asks him a question, he says he doesn't know. Jerry goes, "Blah."
Oh yeah.
So 6.
Right.
By the end of the episode, though.
Yeah. So it's 4 like true believers. Sagawa, who's the head of the GLS,
the tech guy.
Yeah. What was his? Isn't he some kind of doctor or? I can't remember. I already forget. I watched this like 3 hours ago. I already forget.
Yeah, they brought him in for his experience with like cameras and security systems. And
yes,
stuff like
because
that.
they had they had put a camera in the
because they needed
Yukawa's house.
They needed to do it at the exact same time where they couldn't enter stasis. So that was his role.
Yeah, so it's that guy, the 4 true believers, one of whom has been expelled. Then the thug dude, and he's the one who finds the stone. I didn't even remember the stone having been hidden up there in that tree.
After they pulled it down, I did remember it because they were there. It's like, we got to put this somewhere where they're not going to find it.
Right. I did remember the water in stasis being messed up.
Yeah, when it's frozen.
When Jury and whoever else, probably her grandpa, were up there. So that clued me into the fact that they had been there, but I forgot. I can't even picture the scene where they put the true stone up there in the tree. So when he found it so easily, just seeing, the water that was a little messed up off to the left,
that was like, oddly convenient.
Yeah, it really was.
Well, maybe not oddly,
laughable.
Maybe kind of predictably convenient.
Yeah, there were a lot of things that I didn't like very much about this episode. Particularly, like, this at the start, the cliffhanger from last week was Majima's older brother. Even though he looks much younger, he was born before her.
Right, and he
was frozen and
he named her apparently.
He asks his dad.
We never get the question answered. So
maybe he did. Yeah, maybe he came up with the name Majima. But in any case, like the cliffhanger at the end of the last episode was he had come out of the Herald and he looked alive. And
then in this episode, he says, "Who are you?" and falls over.
Yeah, and very quickly that is like resolved. I'm just not a fan of how that was tacked on at the start of this episode. Why couldn't the last episode have ended that way? With instead of it being a cliffhanger, why couldn't he have, opened his eyes, said, "Who are you?" done his little fainting thing, and then close on Majima, like cradling the body of her stalled older brother, like really emotional. Why isn't that the end?
I think because it's a new studio and it wants to, or it's trying to, create an ending that's going to bring people to watch the next episode, because they're probably really worried about viewership, especially for it being their first show.
Yeah, maybe.
And so
it's definitely about viewership. I don't know if the new studio angle plays into it. But
they're playing it, quote unquote, safe by doing something.
I didn't
predictable.
I don't like how the cliffhangers are, taken care of in 30 seconds, a minute.
Right. When we've both discussed that, because neither of us really seem to like that.
Well, I did at the start. I was way hotter on the show at the start than I am now. I'm not even. I mean, in the past, I've said, I don't like the show as much, but it's still different. So I give it credit for, not being in like a typical anime. Now I'm not even really that interested week to week. So that's unfortunate.
Well, that's a shame.
Yep. So I didn't like how the cliffhanger was resolved so quickly. One thing that I did like, I was right about the specters. Remember when the specters are expelled, they go into members of the Yukawa family?
Yes.
First the kid and then Tsubasa.
Mm-hmm.
If Sagawa's theory about them being attracted to the blood of the Yukawa family is correct, then so was I, because that was my theory. Thanks for the thumbs up.
You're welcome.
I didn't like the fact that the thug guy found the Master Stone so damn quickly. I also didn't understand. Remember, he was plotting with the blue polo guy, who had overheard Sagawa's plan to leave everybody behind and leave the camera guy in charge of the GLS.
Right.
So the blonde thug guy gets clued into that by Blue Polo Man. I don't know any of their names. And then at the end, the blonde guy, for some reason, wants...
Should I kill this guy?
Well, he wants the stone to get turned over to Sagawa. Remember?
Sagawa was the one paying him, not the rest of the guys.
Yeah, but wasn't he planning with the Blue Polo guy to not like, I don't know, overthrow him or take over the GLS or anything, but weren't they planning on not listening to him anymore, like not taking his instructions? He asks the Blue Polo guy, "Oh, so we don't need to be listening to this guy anymore, right?" I didn't understand his motivation, really.
His motivation is he's a plot device.
I don't know. I maybe I could have benefited from a closer reading of this episode. Like, I mean, I wasn't doing anything else while I was watching it, but I don't totally understand the point of the blonde guy. Or
yeah, I'm kind of with you on that.
I didn't get anything about what he was thinking or in that last scene where Sagawa, starts to power up.
I don't know, maybe Sagawa is just a lot more imposing in person. And he's like, well, maybe I shouldn't throw my stones against this guy.
That doesn't make that much sense.
I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff at the wall.
And seeing what sticks.
Yup.
The big development in this episode, in many episodes of Kokkoku, the biggest development is the cliffhanger at the end. Maybe that's not really fair. The biggest development in the last episode was the two souls and one herald, and the big scene where Juri has to expel them and stuff. That wasn't part of the cliffhanger. But in this episode, the biggest development was certainly Sagawa. He said something about, let me show you what it's like when specters have control of your body.
Right.
Remember that?
He, like, fuses with it, or is essentially what he's saying.
Yeah, well, or he's already controlled by specters, I think is what he's saying.
He's like, let me show you my final form.
Yeah, well, he says, let me show you what it's like having specters control, like be in charge of your body or control your body. So I didn't get the impression that he was summoning them to him or fusing with them at that moment. I kind of felt as though he had been, there had been one in him the whole time.
Well, there would have to be, otherwise he wouldn't be in stasis.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I guess what I'm saying is that he had whatever special thing is going on with him, like the reason that he's getting all veiny and stuff, that was already in him, and he was suppressing it. That's how I read it.
It's a good thought.
But in any case, he's he's powering up or something.
Yeah, because he had talked with the doctor dude, as you called him.
Right, even though he's not a doctor at all.
No.
He's some kind of camera.
But he's
expert.
wearing a lab coat. He's got to be a doctor, right?
Is he? He's definitely wearing some kind of white coat.
He had talked to him about the founder of the Genuine Love Society being over 500 years old.
Yeah.
From the time that the first to the last page of their sacred text had been written.
Wouldn't you be able to tell just by looking at it that one page was like way older than the others?
I don't know. Not if it's perfectly preserved.
Yeah, or
Because
the book's probably a replica, right? Like if it's a religion, there's probably not just one book.
No, there is only one.
How do you know that?
He said that it's a different text than all of the other books. Like the GLS has a bunch of different like sacred texts, and this one is the only one that contradicts the others.
No, he was talking about there being many other religions in the world, and the GLS's scriptures contradicting the other religions.
Oh, okay.
I think. I mean, think about it. If you're a religion that dates back to the 1300s, why would you have only one copy of your sacred text?
Because only one person had it.
Yeah, but why wouldn't any copies be made?
Because he took it with him into stasis.
Okay, yeah, I guess. Yeah, it's true. The guy used stasis to live for a long time and observe, the course of
human history,
development,
and perform a bunch of experiments in stasis, which is probably where Saga was getting his power up from.
Right. I wonder if the heralds are a result of that guy's meddling. If they're not actually supernatural, or if they're not actually protectors, if they are the result of this guy entering stasis. And
I think he remembered saying the heralds aren't a product, they're the result.
I remember that as well.
I'm not sure what he was...
But aren't product and result kind of the same thing? I remember the line that you're talking about, but if something is the result of a process, it's also the product of that process. Those two terms...
Maybe it's just a bad translation.
Yeah, probably. I
think
we're watching
know
Crunchyroll subs from HS, so it's not going to be the best translation.
It's just going to be the quickest.
Yeah, but there was a line like that. As I took it to mean that the heralds are not preeminent. Like they haven't always existed. They're the result of.
Yeah, that's what I thought it meant too. Like they haven't always existed in stasis.
Yeah,
they were created.
So they're probably a result of this guy's experiments. Maybe that guy's going to show up,
or maybe
he's still alive.
Maybe Sagawa is going to turn into a herald that has free will.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with him. I mean, I'm kind of interested to find out, but getting a little tired of. The show's always posing interesting questions and answering them with efficiency and with decent speed. I'm never like annoyed about, why haven't we learned this yet? But at the same time, as I learn more and more, the show doesn't. I don't think its questions get more complicated and more interesting. I don't think it's evolving along with all the information that it's doling out, and so it feels like a flat line rather than a ramp. Rather than
having a crescendo.
Yeah,
it's on a plateau.
Yes. Well put. Yeah, that's how I'm feeling about the show in general.
Okay. Well, not much longer left.
5 more episodes. Yeah, we're past the halfway mark for most of these shows. I guess for only 3 of them, because we've only just hit the halfway mark for Violet Evergarden, and we're only a quarter of the way done with Franxx. But that's assuming we decide to continue with Franxx.
Speaking of Franxx,
yeah,
let's
talk about the beach episode.
Oh, the beach episode. The best beach episode of any anime is the Ember Island Players.
Of the many anime that you've seen, yes.
Is Ember Island Players, which isn't even an anime.
Yeah. Was that set at a beach?
Avatar The Last Airbender?
Yeah.
There was a separate episode that it was the
beach episode was the one right after the Ember Island Players. It was the first of the 4 episodes that constituted that ending movie in season 3. Those 4 episodes put together.
The beach with Azula and
Oh no,
them.
no, that's much earlier in season 3. That's in the middle. That was a good episode.
That's what I didn't remember the title.
But there
of that
was
episode.
there was a beach episode, like a very short beach scene in the episode right after Ember Island Players, because they're all goofing off, and then Zuko says, "Hey, idiots! My dad is gonna like burn the world to the ground. What are y'all doing? Just having fun out here?"
It's like, we gotta go.
Yeah. Anyway, that's not an anime, or is it?
It's a Korean anime.
Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Is Avatar an anime? You know what is an anime? Darling in the Franxx, and it certainly had a beach episode this week.
Yep.
So you haven't seen too much anime.
No, I think my list
50
is at
series
like 50
or something
to 60.
like that. Yeah. So you're not as familiar with the tradition, the trope of beach episodes as I am. They are omnipresent. That's not the right word. They're shit. What's that word? I think it starts with an A. It
Omniscient.
No, I can't remember it right now. They're very popular.
Pervasive.
Yeah, that's not bad. It's not the word I was looking for, but they definitely pervade anime. They're in all kinds of anime, especially when the protagonists are teenagers, high schoolers, whatever.
Right.
And they're often quite fan servicey and light on plot and just important events, usually missing.
Yep.
Now, this episode I actually did not find that terrible in that regard.
Because there were plot developments.
Sure. Yeah. There were a whole bunch of flashbacks to Hero and Zero Two's conversations with, like their handlers, I guess.
And Dr. Franxx.
Yeah, and Dr. Franxx. And the second half of the episode, even though they were walking around in their swimsuits, they were learning about
The old world.
Yeah. Well, maybe not the whole second half. They did go back to the beach after a while. But my issue with the episode actually lies elsewhere, from the fact that they were in their swimsuits and, the boys were all staring at the girls and being like, "Oh, we're in the springtime of our youth," and other cliche anime shit that sucks and I hate. It wasn't that bad for me in this episode.
Okay.
But how did you feel? Like, you haven't seen that many beach episodes, so
let's see. What are my notes? Fanservice.exe has launched.
yeah, it's definitely fan servicey. I mean, this whole show is, but this episode in particular was.
I mean, I've seen shows that are almost entirely fan service. In fact, that's almost their premise.
What, like High School of the Dead?
Yeah.
Did that have a beach episode?
The OVA was a beach episode.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like, OVAs are typically bundled with the DVD and Blu-ray sets.
And so you want fans to buy it, so
Yes.
they're fan service.
Yeah. So that's an extremely naked, if you'll pardon the pun, way of getting. It's a very obvious way of getting people to buy stuff based on fan service.
There was a beach-like episode in High School of the Dead, but it was for like 3 minutes of it.
Yeah, you wouldn't. That show's about zombies. You wouldn't expect them to be able to chill at a beach for too long.
No, but there was an episode where all the girls are in a bathtub and because they're at a house, and it gets very NC-17 very quickly.
What a quality show that is.
But
I actually haven't seen it. I shouldn't say that.
it's not as terrible as
The outro just being lewd shots of the girls. I see you have that written down. I did see that the ED was different, but I clicked out of it pretty fast.
it was literally just all the girls like in suggestive poses in their underwear.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing.
Here's my deal with that. I've seen so much anime that I've like, you go through the initial phase of being like, "Ooh, this is weird. Is this okay? I don't know if I like this." And then you watch so much of it that it eventually comes around, not necessarily to appreciation, but to tolerance. I understand that this show is aimed at, like otaku teenagers, guys probably in their maybe early 20s as well.
So you've got big boobs, medium boobs, and black boobs.
Thanks, Chevy.
You're welcome, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, I was okay with the beach episode. The fact that it was set at the beach. It was silly. It was, if you think about it for too long, it's vaguely insulting. But it's just following in the tradition of what came before. You know, in Ava, they go to a hot spring. It's only for like 2 minutes, but they do go to a hot spring, and you see like an underboob shot of Misato. That's where you see her scar for the first time.
Right.
And I mean, there's a long tradition of that stuff going on. It predates Ava, of course. Ava is a product of its influences. So it's
sex sells.
Yeah, it does. I mean, but and that's
and it sells minifigs, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, all anime are just toy commercials, pretty much.
As we learned from Cowboy Bebop.
It was all right. You know, I didn't really care for the fact that it was a beach episode, but
you said you had a problem with it outside of that, but you never elaborated on what it was.
Yes, I did. All right, here it is. Let me scroll down. I wrote a big fat paragraph about it, like a pretentious a-hole. Where's my mouse?
Let me just get on my glasses.
Already wearing them. Joke's on you. Okay, here's what I wrote. I can't take this shit anymore. Hero questioning the necessity of using magma energy. Do you remember this? When he was like, maybe the Klaxosaurs wouldn't be attacking us if we just didn't use magma energy. And then Mitsuru and Zorome, they start talking about being an adult is awesome, and the adults are obviously like perfect, and they know exactly what's going on. And Papa and the others, they're all... So the message is obviously Hero's right, you know, to question the adults. And these kids are
brainwashed, and
pretty much, yeah, because they've been raised in the birdhouse. And it's not just them. You got to figure that in the society that Darling and the Franxx has set up for us, it's very much top-down leadership. Like, the information that everyone's getting is just based on what Papa, I guess, is willing to disclose to people. And Hero's obviously correct about the Klaxosaurs are angry about their natural habitat being like fucked with.
Right.
So there's an environmental message that the show hasn't quite hit yet, but you know it's there.
It's coming.
Yeah, it's coming. But the thing is, like, that scene is so stupid. You know,
it's clumsy.
Yes, it's like unless Franxx is some kind of grand statement about societal greed and like manipulation, and unless it's some kind of tragedy about how these kids are being exploited and have been like genetically modified and stuff to serve as soldiers, and unless it really focuses on that, then that kind of scene where the kids are like, oh yeah, the adults are the best, it just falls completely flat. It's like shit tier writing.
But what if it ends up being like that?
Well, but it doesn't have that tone.
Not yet.
But can it, after these 7 episodes, can it ever get there?
Think of Gurren Lagann and the insane tone shift that happened halfway through.
No, it didn't happen halfway through.
It did.
You're talking about the time skip?
Yeah, time skip.
Gurren Lagann got serious as soon as, I guess spoilers for Gurren Lagann, as soon as Kamina dies. It doesn't take until the time skip, until Rousseau, like, you know, comes to power. That is certainly, that to me is the third act of the show. That's not the halfway point. Gurren Lagann, it only takes like 7 episodes for it to really buckle down. And coincidentally, we just hit episode 7 in Darling and the Franxx, and we're getting a beach episode and a bunch of really like dumb campfire scenes where it's just exposition. Like,
where did this food come from?
It's just awful, man. Like, yeah, we get it. We understand that it's kind of like dystopian and that information's being withheld from people, and that the kids don't understand love, relationships, sex, pregnancy, procreation, kissing. I understand it now. I got it after, you know, a handful of episodes. I didn't need this.
I think we got it after like 2 or 3 at most.
Yeah, something like that. It's just... So the beach episode aspect of it, you know, it's fine. It's anime. But the just the lousiness of the show in general, not cool. That's my take. How about you?
My take, since I haven't been desensitized to the beach scene yet, it just feels useless. It's, you know, it's not a good vessel for storytelling, because half of your story is just, let's get close-ups with the girl's boobs and ass every once in a while, and they'll fall on each other and the guys will stare and make some pact about how girls are the greatest or
And
something.
the beach is the greatest.
We're all gonna perv
Long
on
live
them.
the ocean.
Why are women 50% hotter when they're in swimsuits? I don't know.
Because
Ask every dude.
because 50% more skin is showing.
It's a hell of a lot more than 50.
Quick maths.
Quick maths. More like no maths.
No, it's an equation. 50% hotter because 50% more skin. It's maths with 2 F's.
Sure. Let's go with that. I don't know.
Okay, so
I thought seeing the destroyed world, what was
in the second
what
half,
was left, and it looked, it just looked like it was dilapidated. It didn't look like, thousands of bombs had gone off. It
Right.
just looked like it could have been like they just left.
yeah,
Which didn't.
it was just overgrown. There was just vegetation everywhere.
So why did they leave?
Probably because of the Klaxosaurs, right?
I guess the threat of the Klaxosaurs.
Here's a question. They talk about the fact that humanity used to live on the surface.
And they still do, just in a dome.
No, they live in domes. Yeah, but I guess I just don't understand the geography. I don't know if that's the right term, but we have like the barren wasteland, and then there's a dome, and then there at one point there's an aerial shot. There's like a bird's eye view shot. They pan over from the dome and like the orange reddish ground. They just pan over like a little bit, and there's a beach and a forest.
Well, these things move.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
but like
did they move it next to that beach just so that those kids could go there?
no, that's not. You're looking at it the wrong way. It's
I'm
not
right,
as though
though.
this world exists in real life, and they moved it here so that they could have this episode. They invent the world, so they just said, "Let there be beach," and it was good.
And lo, on the third day, it was
On the 7th episode, and it was not good. Ugh. There were, I mean,
It's called hentai, and it's art.
Hentai is like hardcore stuff.
That's from The
nudity.
Office.
No, I don't know that.
It
Your
is.
constant references to non-anime things are throwing me off my game.
I'm sorry.
So in response to your thing about like it's not a good vessel for storytelling, it is in the sense that Darling in the Franxx is interested in telling a story about a society where
People are sexually repressed.
not just that, it's not as though they're aware of it and it's repressed. They're just like you said, they're kind of brainwashed, or they're uneducated. So it wants to tell a story about like young teenagers learning to love each other because of like, the doki doki feelings in their heart, even though the big
What
bad
is the
society.
translation for doki doki? I have no idea.
It's the onomatopoeia of a heartbeat in Japan. Like
Really?
doki doki. Yeah.
Instead of love dub,
Yeah.
I think it's ours. Or badump.
Yeah. Badump is the one that I would think of for
I forget
English.
who I heard to say or describe it as love dub. Love dub.
Well, you're doing a strong bad voice. So
Maybe it was strong bad.
perhaps. There was some other cringy shit in this episode too. I shouldn't say cringy because saying the word cringe in itself is kind of, like annoying. But
What, like one of the girls laying in the other one's lap and being like, I bet you wish you were here.
yeah, that actually begs the question, why would she be, if like sex, romance, everything about love and all of its assorted, like all the related stuff, if all of that is a complete mystery, why would she be aware of the fact that the boys are jealous of what she's doing?
I don't know. Maybe they can just have an intuition. They might not know like about actions and all that other stuff.
You
but
mean about like sex,
yeah, about
love,
like sex
romance?
and kissing and all, first to third base and then home base.
No one's gonna understand, dude. No one will ever understand any of your references.
I know.
So I see what you're saying. Even though they may not understand like the birds and the bees, they still have that intuition. Like there's still a sexual compulsion that
Right.
each of them.
Which I still
Yeah, it's on some
maintain
level.
is specific just to their group, and that the other fighters have that removed, which is why they're like experimental or whatever.
No, I don't think that's the case because it's Hero and it's all the kids in the lab where he used to be the boss.
Yeah.
They're the ones who were experimented on. So if anything, they're the ones who will like never become adults, who will never have that. Or maybe the idea is that it's been removed, like their sexual drive has been removed. That's what the adults who experimented on them think. But little do they know, like
Love conquers all.
Yeah, love is going to save the day and shit. So also, what else sucked about this episode? The end, where Hiro and Ichigo go for that walk, and she like tries to confess her love to him, and then
he's like, "Look, a shooting star!"
Yeah. So again, this is something you might not be as familiar with, having seen fewer anime, but like botched confession scenes where there's an interruption.
I am aware of that one.
And then afterwards, he's like, "Oh, what were you trying to say?" And
she's like, "Never mind."
Or no, they're shooting stars. So he's like, "What do you wish for?" And she said, "I already tried to tell you, Baka. Hero no Baka." It's just the worst thing ever. And then the voiceover about how they're watching the shooting stars in the sky, and Ichigo says, "Oh, the stars are just like us." Just give me a break. I can't handle this. It's so badly scripted. Oh my gosh.
Just fuck already.
I mean, if they did that, the show would be pretty short, because I feel like that's the end game, right? They're gonna learn about love and stuff. That love has to be the thing that saves the day. And if the show is too core, then the day has to be saved at the end, at the climax of the series. So they're not going to figure out what their emotions mean until I don't know, 12 episodes from now or 16 episodes from now or something.
We also got the warning from Hiro from the doctor: don't let 02 control your emotions.
Right. Yeah.
Whatever that means.
Yeah, I don't know.
Don't fall for the guiles of an attractive woman.
Wiles,
guiles, whatever.
Giles.
Maybe I just watched too much Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Isn't it Giles?
It is.
Yeah. I think we ought to just leave this show alone now.
Let's talk about something that doesn't suck. Yori.
Does that not suck?
I don't think so. I mean, this episode wasn't great, but I don't think the show sucks.
I thought
overall.
It was okay.
I think it did. I think I had the same reaction to this one that you had to the last episode.
Okay. Yeah, because I wasn't hot on the last one. I thought this one was better, so you probably thought this one was worse.
I wouldn't say worse. I'd say it's about the same. You know, it's just...
Right. The show's in a holding pattern right now.
Yeah.
I just want them to leave, go to Antarctica. Do you think they're even going to go? They're 7 episodes in out of 12. We haven't left. Do you think they're ever going to reach Antarctica?
Well, they're supposed to leave in a day or two.
Yeah, but at this point, with the show having completed more than half of its run, Antarctica, we haven't seen one glimpse of it. Do you think they're going to go at all? And there are all these problems with the crew isn't big enough. There's not enough food. A lot of people are thinking that they're not even going to leave. A lot of people have misgivings about the trip, their nerves. Right. Do you think they're going to go to Antarctica?
Absolutely. I don't think they're going to.
I kind of think they won't.
All right. It's, I think you have too much faith in the writers to tell a tragic story.
I don't think it's going to be a tragedy. I think
it's just going to be a learning experience. The moral of the story is you don't get what you want.
The real
toenails.
The real Antarctica was the friends we made along the way.
You really think it's going to do that?
Something like that.
Oh,
yeah.
God. No, please leave.
All the girls are going to be, they'll have made friends with each other, and that'll be what they get out of their trip, and they'll realize, it was worth it. We didn't go to Antarctica, but it was worth it.
I don't think so. I think they're going to
are they just setting up for season 2 then? Why is it taking so damn long?
I don't know. Maybe the Antarctic angle just is more expensive to animate, so they're not doing it.
It would be less. It's just white as far as the eye can see, man. I'm serious.
I know. I don't know. I can't be yes, this is exactly what's going to happen. I mean, we've got 5 episodes left.
Yeah. And in this one, I think the biggest plot point, I suppose, is how you would say it?
Development?
Well, it's not really a development because we've known about it for a while, but the focus of this episode was on the
expedition crew.
Yeah, well, no, not them as people, more of the tentativeness of the expedition, I guess.
I guess the expedition itself is probably what I should have said.
Yeah. People don't know whether it's going to happen for sure.
Right, but everyone there is determined because they've...
Well, no, not everybody is. We see the girls following everybody around, and some people, like the girl who's on her cell phone calling her boyfriend and being like, I don't even want to be here. Why? I love you. I just want to be with you, but I have to go on this expedition. And then they are spying on the people at the restaurant.
I meant the end scene. Everyone's like, yeah, let's go.
Well, yeah, but that's the end. That's like the nice, tidy resolution to the episode.
This whole show is going to have a nice, tidy resolution. You think everyone's going to die, or they're just not going to go. It's one of the two for
I
you.
don't actually think it's going to be... Well, at this point, I don't even think they're going to Antarctica. So I don't think it's going to be some tragic ending.
I think they're going to leave next episode, and they're going to spend an episode getting there.
Okay, so that would leave them with 3 episodes to
4.
explore Antarctica. No, this is 7, right?
So then 8.
They're going to leave next
9,
episode.
10, 11, 12.
They're going to leave next episode, and then they'll spend an episode getting there. So this would be the same episode?
Yeah, they'll
Okay,
leave,
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, the whole trip to
so
get
they'll
there will
arrive
take an
there
episode.
at the end of episode 8.
And they'll have 4 episodes there, yeah.
Gotcha. I hope you're right. Actually, I'm not even sure that I do, because then only a third of the show, which is about a trip to Antarctica, will be set at that continent. Like I don't know if I don't.
Would you rather
like
them just not go at all?
I don't know if I would rather that happen, but that's what I'm predicting.
Okay.
That's my thought.
Yeah.
And
We got the usual gags and goofs from the gang. And,
Good.
Yeah, alliterations are fun.
Sure are. We're sighing a lot while talking about this.
I'm extremely tired.
What was there to this episode?
There was Shirase freezing up doing her little announcements, but at the end, she gets scooted on stage by Hinata, and she does some public speaking without turning red and stammering 1,000 times.
You can tell in her voice that she's still really nervous when she's giving that little self-introduction. But it does seem afterwards she looks pleased with how people responded to what she said. Everybody's kind of energized by...
Well, everyone's drunk. That's why.
Yeah. Well, she's a kid. She probably doesn't know that.
They're not legal. That means you.
Yeah, that was that was pretty strange.
Why are you pointing at me?
It does seem as though she might be on her way to becoming more of a confident public speaker. And that's good, because I felt bad for her getting that little notice taped to her head that said
Useless.
worthless.
Yeah.
That's poor girl.
And it took her a minute to pull it off.
Yeah, well, I think she was trying to be really delicate because it was attached to her hair.
And then she just yanked it, pulled a hair with it or something, I think.
I didn't remember seeing that, but
There's just
I'll take
one
your word
little
for it.
stringy thingy.
We also saw a flashback to when the older women who are organizing this expedition.
We saw Shirase's mom and the person who's the leader of the expedition talking about going to Antarctica in the first place.
Yeah, they were probably high school girls at the time. So it's like poetry, they rhyme.
It's like poetry. They happen at the same time.
I kind of felt it was goofy, like the fact that they were high school girls when they started, and now it's like history has repeated itself.
We're almost high school girls. No, they are high school.
They are in high school.
Yeah.
So I thought it was goofy how this whole trip, the civilian expedition to Antarctica, was started by these young girls. But then I thought about it for a second. I realized, wait a second, this whole show, the premise of this entire show is that 4 girls in high school want to go to Antarctica.
Yup.
That in itself, it's pretty out there.
It is strange.
But the show put in the necessary legwork at the start to
make it believable.
Yeah. Give good reasons for why all the characters would want to go. Maybe not the best, but I mean, it got me interested, feeling like they all really do want to cause some kind of change in their life.
Yeah.
So it was probably the same for Takako and Gin at the start. I think Takako is Shirase's mom's name, and Gin is the leader of the expedition with the long,
that's correct,
dark hair. But apart from just that flashback, we also saw a scene where Gin and the lighter-haired woman were inside that little trailer in Antarctica, and they were looking out the window.
That's
and
a snowcat.
Okay, snowcat. Thank you. And they were looking out the window and they were like yelling for Takako, who
Like she was stuck out there in the blizzard.
Yeah. So that's as close. I mean, we saw the shrine a couple episodes ago.
Yeah, we're pretty sure she's dead.
Yeah. Well, but it's like a Violet Evergarden situation with the Major. There's no body, you know.
Right. No body, no crime.
Okay.
The glove don't fit.
You must have quit. See, yeah, it's her mom is almost certainly dead. I have to wonder what portion of the motivation for this expedition, like for the older women, is the same as Shirase's, to get to Antarctica and like try to find their friend.
See if she's somehow survived on, in
a cave somewhere.
Yeah.
Or on a little, on a little piece of ice just floating in the middle of the Antarctic Sea. Does it have its own sea?
No.
I don't know.
It's just a solid mass of ice.
Yeah. They're seasoned expeditioners or whatever the term is.
Yeah, and this is the first civilian expedition to ever go.
No, I feel like this expedition has been a civilian expedition in all of its incarnations.
No, it wasn't. Originally, it was like a proper government-funded expedition.
Then why did the high school girls go on the trip?
This one? Because this is
no, the original. Because we saw that flashback.
They were professionals,
but they were clearly like high school girls on that hill there. Like, do you want to go to Antarctica? I love.
Right. That was basically them saying like this is a dream that we want to accomplish at some point in our lives.
Oh, I thought it had been a civilian expedition the whole time.
No, this is the first one. They made a point to say that like 9 times.
Okay, I had missed it all 9 times, I guess.
Apparently.
So they're obviously experienced. They're probably signed. If it's true that it hasn't always been a civilian expedition, then they probably have degrees, in scientific fields,
right?
And they probably understand that their friend is dead. They know that intellectually. But I wonder if it's a contributing factor in their desire to return to Antarctica.
Yeah, no one said it, but I kind of got that feeling.
Yeah, and speaking of no one saying things, but kind of getting that feeling, like the 4 girls, like the main girls, they're all picking up on the fact that there's something that they're hiding. The expedition leaders, there's something they're hiding, and they don't really know what it is. So I wonder what that is. Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you remember them saying,
yeah.
I feel like they're hiding something. So I wonder what that is. I wonder if what they're hiding is an attempt to try to find Takako.
I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and find out.
Yeah, this show is definitely a wait and see kind of show. You just wait and see if they're ever going to get to the damn continent that they've been talking about for 7 episodes. I'm ready.
I am ready.
So you think they're leaving the port?
Yep, that's my guess.
Okay, next episode. All right.
Make some bets.
I'll bet you $1 that they do not arrive in Antarctica in the next episode.
All right. It's a deal.
You think our mics picked that up?
Yeah, I'll make sure.
Oh, they're right there. Nice.
58.
Oh, you know what we could put in that? Never mind. We'll talk about it later.
You mean the Dylan? You son of a bitch.
Yeah, we could put the Schwarzenegger. Handshake. So what's next?
What's left?
Hakata Tonkotsu Ramens.
Let's do it.
Can we just skip this? I could not recount for you what happened if I tried.
Let me scroll up. I can.
Okay. Let's scroll. That's the ED, right?
Yeah, I know that's the ending.
It's a cool ED.
It is. I think that's one of the reasons I like this show so much, because I've just seen the episode. I love the ending so much that it colors what I thought about the episode.
That is exactly why so many OPs and EDs are so awesome and look so much better than the actual show, because they're going to be played at the start and end of every episode. And they know that you're going to react that way. You're going to think you're going to get to the end of the episode and the kick-ass ED comes in, and you start like grooving out, you start vibing to it, and then at the
Dude,
end,
I'm air drumming the whole time. I'm doing all that stuff.
at the end, you think, man, what a great episode that was. This show's really good. And you forget about the previous 20 minutes.
I'm starting to think that that's some of what's going on, but I really do enjoy the show besides that.
Right. So what did you enjoy about this week's episode?
We got to learn more about Black Leg.
AKA Mushroom Head.
Yes, Mushroom Head.
AKA Enokita-kun.
Yeah.
Because that's his actual name. Yeah, we learned that he's the son of a politician.
Yeah, the son of one. Japan has a government that is very, very similar to the United States.
Well, I mean, yeah, we
installed it.
We made sure of that after we bombed their country to hell and then occupied it.
Yep.
We made sure of the fact that it was going to be a mini America over there.
And you know what? It's worked out pretty well for them so far.
Well, I guess you could make that argument. You could probably make an argument against it too, but I'm not qualified to do either.
Neither am I.
It's true though. They have what's called the Diet, which is kind of like Congress. And yes, so I guess his dad is a member of the Diet.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's called Diet.
Maybe it translates to something.
Maybe diet in Latin does not mean how we think of the word diet in English.
I don't know.
We could look that up.
We could. But we won't.
Yeah, it's his dad's a politician, and when he was a kid, when he was a lot younger, he resented his dad for whatever reason. Probably
just not spending time with him.
Yeah, like he didn't get enough attention.
The standard anime
parents.
resent your dad.
Yeah. Well, not just anime. It's like the standard story.
Life.
Yeah, real life too, I guess. What exactly does he do again?
He basically just like pulled up a bunch of dirt on his dad and spread it all over the internet in order to try to discredit him.
But it was a particular type of dirt that he pulled up, wasn't it?
All I said was interfering with an election.
Yeah, I just in my notes I just put scandal. Yeah. So that's true though. He dug the scandal up during an election cycle when it was like a really critical time for his dad. And so his dad in response decided, better have my son killed. Better get my butler to kill my son.
Politicians are slimy is what this show's trying to tell us.
I think what it's trying to tell us is that murder is normal because I mean they're living in a city where 3% of the population, are hitmen. So murder is just like a normal thing.
Although he wasn't living in that city at that point.
Yeah, I
because
thought
the
that
butler
as well.
gave him the plane ticket to go to that city because he had friends there because he's an assassin. So he would have assassin friends that can look out for him.
Right. Entrust your young charge to your assassin friends.
I mean, they've got to be pretty reliable.
Well, but look what they turned him into.
A hacker who...
No, the guy's kind of a freak. You remember the scene where he's confronted in the bathroom by the mayor's henchman, the guy with the eye patch and the woman with the ponytail?
Yeah.
And he's like staring them down and back talking them and talking about how he's gonna the little red the Black Widow with the red thing on it, the spider.
Right.
He's like, oh, it looks cool. Do you remember what I'm talking about at all?
Yeah, he's
a psycho.
Yeah, well, all of them are.
I guess, yeah. Him in particular, though, I feel like he in particular is just odd. He's not wired the same way as the rest of them.
You'd be pretty messed up if your dad wanted you assassinated as well.
Yeah,
and were raised by assassins afterwards.
Yeah, or lived with them. I don't know if he was raised.
Well, I would assume he was mostly raised by the butler.
No, because the butler stayed in the service of. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
when he was a kid.
Before that, because
Yeah, I guess so. But if the butler is such a great guy, why? I don't know. It's thinking about this show too hard is just a recipe for a headache. There were a lot of plates being juggled in this episode. There were the homeless murders.
Right.
They introduced a new. What would you call them?
M3.
Well, they introduced M3. True, but M3 weren't those evil guys. The evil the organization of the hacker guy and the I don't know, the boxer who keeps watching that video.
No, that was M3.
That was M3?
Yeah.
I didn't get the sense that was M3.
That's what I got.
Okay.
A group that specializes in dealing with hackers. because they have like an ultra hacker.
I guess, yeah, a super hacker.
Yep. By the way, I figured out what's gonna how he's gonna get away in the episode afterwards.
Who's gonna get away?
Black
Mushroom
Leg.
Head? How's he gonna get away?
Because they're tracking him
Yeah.
right on his computer, and he can't do anything about that. He's gonna clone his computer and send the signal everywhere. So they're gonna think there's like 50 of them, and have to play a giant game of whack-a-mole to know which is him.
That sounds like something he ought to do.
He will. I can tell you right now.
Oh, I mean, that may, in your mind, that may be the most logical course of action, but did you see anything in this episode to indicate that that's what he's actually going to do?
Well, I remember them saying almost specifically like misdirecting or whack-a-mole, and I mean that's the easiest thing to do if you're an IT person.
Okay, cool. And I mean, he's not just an IT person. He is, once again, a super hacker. So
Yeah, elite hacksaw.
yeah. So there were the homeless murders. There was Mushroom Head's family situation and his parkour butler.
They put a bounty on Mushroom Head as well.
Right. So I guess M3 was the trio of
Right,
bad
which
guys.
includes the boxer.
But then there was also Macro Hand.
Right.
Macro Hand wasn't that just the name of another hacker
Yeah.
who was on their list? They killed him and then took a look at his computer, I guess, and his data revealed the location maybe of Mushroom Head or his something about him that let them track him.
Right. To let them find out that he's always at that internet cafe, and then they got a picture of him.
Okay. Yeah. It's a lot of stuff going on. It's not even that it's really that complicated, because if you took this exact plot and you stretched it out over, gave it 10 more minutes to breathe, made the episode a little longer, you'd be able to follow it just fine. And maybe like I'm just a low IQ bitch and I can't follow it like, because I'm an idiot.
No, it is speedy.
I could summarize it for you, if I really had to, but really I just let this show wash over me pretty much when I watch it.
It's an experience, man.
Yeah, it is. And it's pretty enjoyable, but its visual presentation really brings it down for me.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm always taking screenshots, the screenshots that you're seeing on the screen right now, if you're watching this on YouTube and haven't just tabbed out. I look for like, the most interesting screenshot that I can find to accompany the podcast.
It's always difficult for you to find one for Ramens, because it's just not a great looking show.
No, I don't. Part of that is that I don't really care for the character designs very much, but also
You don't like the art direction.
the backgrounds are nothing special. The
God rays.
Yeah, those are really distracting. Just, I don't really enjoy the way the show looks, and that's half or more of anime.
Yeah.
So, it's cool. This is obviously the start of a new arc. The Mushroom Head. It's very focused on his character and Okita's character, but it does feel to me like it's going to be wrapped up by the next episode. I kind of feel as though M3 is going to be out of the picture. What do you think about that prediction? That like they're gonna chase him. He's gonna get away using some hacker skill.
They're going to find him.
And then Banba and Lin will probably save the day. That's my prediction.
That's... I don't think I expect it to do anything crazier than that, but it would be nice if it did.
Yeah, I guess so. I really don't feel as like if the show has 5 episodes left, let's say, I think it's pretty safe to assume that it's 12, because it's definitely not 2 core, and 12 is pretty standard at this point. I don't think that it's going to spend, with only 5 episodes left, I don't think it's going to take more than one of those 5 to wrap this up. There are probably more stories it wants to tell. That's my guess.
Yeah. So that's a good...
prediction.
A good prediction.
All right, take us home. What's the last show we're going to talk about? It's new this week.
Mob Psycho 100.
Let's do it.
Episodes 1 and 2.
So which did you like better? Just start with that. Which episode?
That's hard. They're both good. I think I liked episode 1 better.
Okay. Why? What was so cool about episode 1?
Episode 1, that scene in the tunnel was was funny and telling at the same time, because we always had, an idea. Obviously, especially with this writer's work, he seems to focus on overpowered characters.
Right.
Because he thinks it's funny, probably, and it is. But the biker gang, we slipped on a banana peel. There's this evil mountain spirit that kills people. So wait, did he kill you guys? No, we just slipped on a banana peel and died.
Right.
So they're all trapped in there. He blows the ball up by holding his finger up.
Yeah.
And then destroys the end spirit and blows them up. And then
so he being
Mob.
Yes. Who is, as we learned from the intro sequence in episode 1,
a god.
Yeah, he's practically a godlike being.
I am a biotic god.
And his power scales with his emotional stress.
Instability.
Yeah. And it's based on a percent scale. So
right.
Mob Psycho 100
being,
if he hits 100%,
the world ends.
Something like that.
Explosion, I think is what it says.
There's a giant explosion, yeah. But
time until, or percentage until Mob explodes, I think is what the little screen says when it comes up.
Yeah. I don't know if it's necessarily implied that the world is going to end. There is like an explosion is set off, we see in that little intro sequence. And it's kind of, the idea is that Mob explodes, like he self-destructs kind of. And it's gonna blow up the world or blow up Japan or something like that.
Cause the third impact. Who knows?
Yeah, that's the idea. Is his power scales with his emotional stress.
And in the first episode, we also got to see. I wrote his name down here. Reagan's salt splash attack against the low level spirit. Yeah, it's like, this is table salt. This doesn't work.
He also does a salt attack against the boss of the biker gang.
Salt punch.
Yeah.
It's not salt splash attack.
Yeah, that one's salt punch.
Salt punch or something like that.
And the screen always, whenever he does one of his, quote unquote special attacks, the screen always freezes and the narrator comes in and
describes what it is. Yeah.
So there's a bit of a shonen parody thing going on here. Same as with One Punch Man, I think.
Yeah. Which is exacerbated even more just by the fact that it was done by Shonen Jump.
What was?
One Punch.
Well, no, One Punch Man is...
It was redrawn.
Yes, by Murata, I think. He's the mangaka or the artist behind iShield 21. I don't know if that name means anything to you. It's a North American football manga. It had an anime that ran for 100 plus episodes.
Wow.
Well, that's not that impressive considering this it's a shonen, but the guy's renowned for his art.
Well, I mean,
and yeah,
One Punch Man looks incredible.
Yeah, but that the original manga.
I know the original is terrible.
Well, is it
stylized?
Would you say terrible? It's definitely crude, but I think that's what's so great about Mob Psycho.
It mirrors the original art.
Yeah, it brings out that crudeness. And I think it speaks to one. That's the pseudonym of the mangaka for One Punch Man and Mob Psycho 100. He goes by One. I think it says something about his view of human nature that he depicts people this way. Do you remember in episode 2 the montage of the telepathy club members trying to find a new member for their club so they can stay in business?
Yeah,
and all like the people who they're asking are almost grotesque looking.
Yeah. Or they become more and more grotesque as they run out of people.
Yeah. So I think that says something about One's worldview. He sees people as, like self-interested, obsessed with appearances, selfish. And so that's mirrored in the way they look.
It was also because that was, the club's intentions were purely selfish. They just wanted to keep goofing off and doing nothing.
Right. Yeah. Speaking of selfishness, let's talk about Reagan. So episode 1, it does open with someone who, you don't know at first that it's Mob. You might be able to infer that because of the title of the series. But the first character who is named, I think,
is him.
Is Reagan, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's only after he gets in trouble with his clients who are like, this guy must be a phony.
that he calls Mob to come and actually exercise the
Right.
spirit.
And it's only when Mob shows up and exercises the spirit that the narrator comes in and says, this is Mob. He's a middle schooler, he's a psychic, and he's the protagonist. So why do you think the show opens this way?
I think it's a misdirect.
Well, yeah, but why employ that misdirection?
Because Reagan looks like your stereotypical like shonen hero character. You know, he's fit, he's got the snazzy haircut, he looks nice.
Does Reagan have a snazzy haircut?
I think so.
Okay.
Or it's more snazzy than Mob's.
I feel like they have kind of the same haircut.
No, they don't both have bowl cuts.
Reagan doesn't have the bowl haircut in the same way that Mob does, but he has the same long hair down to about his eyebrows. It's just a different color.
I think he's supposed to look like your stereotypical character, and you're supposed to assume that he is, that he's the protagonist.
Well, that assumption, even if people fell into it, that does not last long.
No, it doesn't.
I mean, it's clear from the moment that he shows the woman the flyer with the 3 different price points and the % reduction in spirit level. It's clear from that moment that he's a phony. Don't you think? Like, why would you have this? Why would you have your business laid out this way, like to con people out of their money?
That's good. Yeah, I don't know. Well, what did you think it was trying to say? Because you wouldn't posture that question to me unless you had a thought of your own.
I kind of do, but it's not fully formed. Like, I don't...
Give me some word vomit then.
I've also seen this show before, so I can't go too into detail about it because then we enter spoiler territory for you. But Reagan we were talking about selfishness earlier with like the telepathy club.
Reagan pays Mob 300 yen an hour.
Yeah, he's a cheapskate. He himself is selfish because when Mob is thinking about joining the club, he is like arguing against that, and because he you know that he wants to monopolize Mob's time
and Mob's talent.
Yes, so he's arguing. At one point, he gets what's her name, Tome, the head of the club,
the head of the telepathy club.
Yeah,
on the phone.
I think her name is it's Tome. She takes the phone from Mob and starts arguing with him, and they're both accusing each other of wanting to use Mob for their own selfish purposes, not realizing that that's what they're doing. Like, right. They're just completely selfish. Same as all the people who, I can relate to all the people who didn't want to join the telepathy club. Why would you? But all those people as well, they were just thinking about themselves. I think the point is that everybody is, but Reagan especially is thinking about himself. So the show sets him up as a cheapskate and as a self-obsessed narcissist,
a con man,
and as a dick. But
he refers to himself as like
the rising star of the
supernatural world.
Yeah,
I think
something like that. So he's being set up for a fall. But I'm not totally sure about the reason he's introduced first. Because he does show up before he's named. He's given a name and focused on before Mob. Now that I'm thinking about it, that may be the show's way of making Mob seem smaller and less significant. Because he is small and insignificant, like in his life. At school, when he's called on by the teacher, he doesn't know the answer to the question. He's bad at sports. He can't get the attention of the girl he likes.
Who he used to have the attention of.
Right. Well, no, not really. Like for 30 seconds, he did.
It's like, I can make things float and bend things.
He's not a member.
I'm bored now.
He's not a member of any clubs. He's going through puberty. There was the metaphor with the spoons bending and stuff.
Right.
It's a metaphor for puberty, like you're not in total control of yourself. His brother is obviously, like overshadows him in their parents' eyes because he got a perfect score on his test and blah, blah, blah. Why can't you be more like Ritsu?
Well, his dad doesn't say that, just his mom.
Yeah, but how do you think that feels to him?
No, I'm sure.
And in episode 2, when he infiltrates the girls' academy, because that's the job.
Everyone's like, "Oh, go ahead." Like, he's a girl.
Yeah, that's true. The guys point out that Reagan is obviously a pedophile or something.
To get into
but they let him in with his little pigtails. But the what I was driving towards there was the girls like question his reliability just from his physical appearance and his his demeanor.
Right.
They just think,
Well,
he
he doesn't have an air of confidence to him like
Right.
Reagan, who's got confidence falling out of his ass.
So that, even though it's all bluster, it's all fake.
Right.
So I think maybe the reason that the show introduces Reagan first is to make Mob seem smaller and less important, because that's the way the world sees him, and that's probably the way he sees himself.
A lot of people feel that way about themselves.
Yeah.
Especially...
And I think that's something this show explores. And especially in the second episode, that's something that Mob is really thinking about from the beginning when he's at Reagan's office. He thinks to himself, is it okay for me to live my life like this? Is there something else I should be doing? And then he constantly questions that throughout the episode when he's like, should I join this club?
Should I just work more?
Yeah, what is it that I really want out of life? And then he thinks to himself, oh, well, I want to confess. I want to confess to the girl that I love, how I feel about her. And so then he decides to join the Body Improvement Club. Yeah,
yes.
that's when I first saw this show, and I think I was wrong. I think earlier I said it was 2015. I think it was 2016 actually. But anyway, when I first saw this show, that moment when he joined the Body Improvement Club, that was when I was like, all right, I'm on board with this. Because I thought that was
to me.
Really
it
funny.
Wasn't the fact that he wanted to join it; it was that they were so enthusiastic about him
great
joining.
Too. Yeah,
That's
great too.
Great
because they are, they're big, like imposing guys. You think they might be brutes, they might
they're
just
all
be dumb
in middle
jocks.
school.
Yeah,
too. They're massive.
Yeah, but even though they're so like beefy and bulky and stuff, they're all like very.
They're super nice and
they're very welcoming. Like, come on, man, join the Body Improvement Club. So Mob joins. Well, I mean, the reason Mob joins the Body Improvement Club is because he really does want to improve himself. He kind of sees that as something he needs to do is work on himself. The goal that he has is, confess to the girl.
Right.
But I think there's something more elemental, like, to what he's going through. He wants to become better and like figure out what his real potential is and like who he really is. He does have these amazing psychic powers, but in every other aspect of life, he's nobody. Yeah, he's just looked down on. So and it's easy to feel bad for him too, because like his character design kind of lends you to feel sympathetic. He just has that silly bowl cut and the school, normal looking school uniform. He's always looking kind of, he has those, what would you call them, like half-lidded eyes?
Half moon.
Okay. Yeah. He's got the semicircle eyes. He always looks unremarkable. He always looks kind of out of it.
Like in that, I did the first episode when Reagan is facing off against the leader of the spirit bikers. He's reading One Punch Man on his phone.
Oh, was he?
Yes.
I didn't catch that.
One Punch Man doing that face he did in the
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
the face.
It was on his phone.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I like the show. I think
do too.
episode 2 is more. I think I liked episode 2 better.
Okay.
It focused on just the one case. We got a little bit of time of, like, we got a little bit of Mob at school, and we got a little bit of Mob as an exorcist. And we learned a little bit more about not just Mob at school, but everyone at school. There's the telepathy club, there's the Body Improvement Club. And there's
the student vice president.
Yeah, the student council is kind of set up as being like really powerful and kind of malicious. So this is like a very, very minor spoiler, but I think it's fine to say that the telepathy club and the Body Improvement Club, they don't go away. They become recurring characters.
They wouldn't have spent that much time on them if they were going to throw them away.
Yeah, they do. They continue to be in Mob's life and to impact everything that's going on with him, how he develops and how he sees himself and all that. The one other thing that I kind of want to mention about this show is I think it takes a more sympathetic view of like the ghosts and ghouls and demons in in its stories than the human characters. I think it kind of views the human characters as like kind of like pigs, like gross looking, self-absorbed,
Yeah.
just ew, like gross.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I didn't express that very well at all, but it
Except
has
for the girls' basketball team.
no, it had sympathy for that guy, because at the end he says to Mob, "Oh, you're like me. You're playing the role of loser in life." I was happy, like living, or not living, but the way I was in this version of the afterlife. I was happy doing what I was doing. Of course, the girl saw a bra floating through the air, so he was obviously like constantly spying on the girls changing and stuff.
Right.
But
not a stand-up guy.
No. But think about the biker gang. They were portrayed very sympathetically, despite the fact that for all intents and purposes, like they were probably a bunch of hooligans,
and thugs.
Yeah, but the show treated them well. Like they were all thankful for the opportunity to pass on, and
right. It's like we can now pass on in peace.
Yeah.
What was it? In the shot of all of them from the photograph, there's one guy on the right side of the banner they're holding up that has sunglasses and like a blonde afro and like this huge grin. I swear I've seen him in another anime before.
Yeah, I mean, in a shot like that, you better believe there are going to be some references to other anime, because they have so many like throwaway characters, so they're just putting in this one frame. Why not draw in something that inspired you?
Yeah.
That was really the other main thing that I wanted to talk about, was the show treats in like, let's say Buffy the Vampire Slayer or something, all the monsters that she has to kill, exorcise, whatever it is she does, I don't remember. They're just seen as
kills.
They're just seen as nuisances, and she just gets rid of them because they're like demons from hell.
Save
most
one
cases.
or two exceptions, yes.
Yeah, but in Mob Psycho, that's not the case. Like the author is finding humanity in these inhuman beings,
and maybe that has to do with the way that some societies respect the dead more than they respect the living.
I don't know if I would go so far as to say they respect the dead more, but Japan is definitely one of the cultures that I think you're getting at. They definitely revere the dead, and they honor them like very meticulously. They set up the shrines in their own homes, and funerals are very formal, and there are a lot of Shintoism, I think, is the
a lot of
religion
people
in Japan.
have pretty terrible lives in Japan, from what I understand.
People are living terrible lives all over the place, man.
That's true.
It's true that it's commonly thought of as like soul crushing being a member of the Japanese workforce, but and while I'm sure there's some truth to that, I mean, there are millions, like tens and hundreds of millions of people whose souls are probably being crushed being a member of the American workforce or a European country. Yeah. Work sucks.
Work sucks. Just podcast.
That's right. All right. Let's rank the winter shows. I like Mob Psycho. You seem to be enjoying it so far as well.
Yeah, I do. One thing we never even touched on were the visuals.
Oh, they're amazing.
Yeah.
And both the OP and the ED are kick ass, in my opinion.
Yeah, the opening with those shots of that neon city are ultra cool.
Yeah. The ED looks very cool too. Like the song it's just grooving, man. And the animation style of the ED is very unique. They use the same it's actually I would never have known this just by looking at it, so I'm not pretending as though I'm an expert on experimental animation. But they use that same glass paint on glass technique for the spirits. Do you remember how it looked?
Yeah, they looked like they were a painting.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is super cool.
They paint on glass and then they like take photographs of it. That's how that look is achieved. I did not know that until I looked it up. But
that is really cool.
Yeah, it looks nice. Yeah, let's rank them up. So obviously, Mob Psycho will be excluded because it's on another level from any of the shows we're watching right now.
Yep.
So what'd you put last?
Franxx.
Yeah, I also put Darling in the Franxx last.
We may have put it last for different reasons, though.
I mean, I didn't appreciate that it was a beach episode, really. It was just I had bigger problems with it.
I think that was my biggest problem with it.
Yeah. Well, watch enough anime and you will get desensitized to it. You know. And maybe there really isn't a problem with it. I don't know. Maybe it's a cultural thing.
Don't know.
And it wasn't a very good episode though. I didn't find. I put Sora Yori fourth.
Kokkoku fourth.
Okay. Oh shit, I put Sora Yori twice. I should have put Kokkoku fourth. I see now that I ranked Sora Yori elsewhere, and that was where I intended it to be. So, Kokkoku fourth. All right, third.
Sora Yori.
All right, put Ramens.
Okay.
Sora Yori second.
Ramens is second.
So we both put Violet Evergarden first.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I felt that Violet Evergarden had its best. I mean, it didn't have its best showing this week. I feel like there have been better episodes in the past, namely 3 and 3, 4, 5 to me are the standouts, I think. If I'm remembering that correctly.
I think you are.
But I do think that of the 5 shows this week, it had the best showing.
For sure.
Pretty standard, like, letter of the week, play of the week.
Would you
But
really call this
nice.
standard, though, or like typical for anime?
Well, I guess when I say that, I'm talking about the fact that Violet is like meeting a new client each week, and
Yeah, it's letter of the week, but I don't think I'd call this show typical.
well,
Maybe I haven't seen enough to be able to make that claim.
it just looks so similar to Kyoto Animation's output.
well, look wise, but story wise.
I don't know. I don't feel as though anything really revolutionary is being done with this show. I think it looks pretty good. I mean, I have some big gripes with its actual visual presentation, but in general, it looks pretty nice.
Well, this episode was pretty colorful.
Yeah, it was. It was definitely very colorful because of the setting, like all the trees. It was probably autumn.
Yeah, the backgrounds in this show when they're in focus are amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, so we came to a pretty similar conclusion this week about which episodes are good, which ones weren't. I think the shows at this point they're not new anymore. They're not really surprising us as much. So we've got them figured out. We're professionals over here.
Yeah.
Save
the fact that Franxx dropped from 2nd to 5th in 1 week for me.
I mean, I don't think I've ever ranked it above 4th.
I don't think
if I'm being TBH with you right now. I can check.
You didn't like it from episode 1, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I haven't liked it since the beginning.
I nudged it into the
You sure did.
to this, and now we're almost both regretting
we're
it.
We're gonna see what happens in the spring preview when we do our little rankings. I'm gonna stack the deck against you however I can, because you can't be allowed to drag shit like this into the weekly coverage, man.
So
I won't permit it.
You're gonna have to actively think what shows I'm gonna like, and then
rank
bomb
them.
Yeah.
I mean, the format that we were using kind of lends itself to that, like those tactics.
Yep.
But I won't actually do that. Like I'm interested in seeing what 5 we come to naturally. Because, we can keep watching Darling in the Franxx, whatever.
We can keep ragging on it.
Yeah, why not?
Although for different reasons, which is interesting. Although anyways, that has been it for episode 19. Tune in next time when we both decide to eat hot chocolate.
I don't know what that means. Bye, everybody.
Bye.